There is a moment in your life, and if you're watching this, you've probably already lived it, when understanding people stops bringing you closer to them. It starts doing the exact opposite. Every layer you peel back shows you another contradiction, another hidden motive, another quiet desperation tucked behind an ordinary smile. And what began as curiosity, that innocent desire to know people, to figure them out, slowly turns into distance. Because here is the truth nobody warned you about. The more clearly you see human nature, the harder it becomes to stand inside of it without feeling like a stranger in your own life. You know this feeling. You felt it in a room full of people who claim to love you. You felt it in the middle of a conversation, watching someone's mouth move, realizing you already know exactly what they want from you and exactly what they're hiding. And you felt the loneliness of it, the strange, heavy loneliness of being the only one in the room who's actually awake. Most people believe solitude is proof that something is wrong with you. Disappear for a few weeks, stop replying to messages, turn down the invitations, choose silence over small talk. Watch how quickly their concern turns into judgment. What's wrong with him? Is she okay? He's changed. Because you've been taught, we've all been taught, that happiness is measured in connection, that the value of your life can be counted by the number of voices surrounding it, that being alone means being broken. But here's what they never tell you. Some of the deepest minds who ever lived walked away from the crowd on purpose. The mystics didn't look for God in cities, they went into deserts. The philosophers didn't find truth at parties, they withdrew because they understood that the questions that actually matter cannot survive the noise of ordinary life. They knew something modern civilization refuses to accept. There are truths that only reveal themselves in silence, and there are illusions that can only survive in company. Sit with that for a second, because it means the crowd you've been avoiding isn't just noisy, it's holding illusions in place. And it means the silence you've been apologizing for isn't emptiness, it's the only room where the lies fall apart. Never, not once in human history, have people been more connected than right now. Billions of us carry the entire world in our pockets. A message crosses the planet in seconds. Opinions never stop flowing. Every moment can be shared before it has even been fully lived. You can talk to anyone, anywhere, at any hour of the night. And yet loneliness has become the defining condition of this age. Study after study, country after country, chronic isolation keeps rising while connectivity keeps exploding. Think about how insane that is. We perfected communication. We built machines that let us speak to the whole world. And somewhere in the middle of it, we quietly forgot how to understand a single human being standing in front of us. Why? Because understanding demands something far rarer than attention. It demands presence, and almost nobody is present anymore, not even with the people sleeping next to them. You already know the difference. There is a canyon between being surrounded by people and being seen. Some people spend their entire lives in crowded rooms carrying an emptiness that no conversation ever reaches, laughing at the right moments, saying the right things, dying quietly the whole time. And others spend days in total silence and find a peace they never once felt in years of social rituals. Which one have you been? Be honest, because the answer to that question explains most of your life. As life goes on, disappointment becomes your most honest teacher. It's brutal, but it never lies. Betrayal changes the way trust feels in your body. Rejection reshapes what you allow yourself to expect. Every humiliation leaves a scar you can't see, a small mark on the nervous system that teaches it to brace for pain long before pain arrives. You didn't decide to become guarded, you were trained into it. One disappointment at a time, and eventually, distance starts to look like wisdom. Solitude starts to feel safer than hope. And honestly, often it is, because no one can betray a version of you they'd never get close enough to know. No one can abandon you if you leave first. No one can use your softness against you if you never show it. The math is simple, and the math works. But here is the part of the math nobody says out loud. Every wall that protects your soul also imprisons it. Every gate you close keeps destruction outside and quietly refuses entry to redemption. The same door, the same lock. And the human heart almost never notices the difference until years have already passed, and you're standing in a fortress, wondering why it feels like a cell. This is the paradox almost nobody talks about. Sometimes, the more deeply you understand people, the less you want to stand among them. And the only question that matters, the one this entire video is really about, is this. Is that distance the beginning of your freedom? Or is it the first step toward disappearing while you're still alive? You didn't wake up one morning and decide to pull away from the world. Nobody does. Distance is almost never born from a single disappointment. It grows quietly, built out of hundreds of small moments that each change the way you see people, moments so small you couldn't even point to them now. Every betrayal handed you a new lens. Every lie sharpened your vision a little more. Every broken promise stripped away another comforting illusion, until one day the world started to look exactly as it is, beautiful in fragments and deeply fractured underneath. At first, seeing clearly feels like wisdom. You feel sharper than everyone around you. You catch the lies before they're finished. You read the room before anyone speaks. Then slowly, it starts to feel like exile, because there's an uncomfortable truth buried underneath most human relationships, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. People rarely see each other as they actually are. They see projections, expectations, conveniences, reflections of their own needs wearing someone else's face. Much of what people call love depends on illusion, on not looking too closely. Much of what people call friendship survives only because certain truths remain politely unspoken. There's an unwritten agreement in almost every relationship. I won't look at your real face if you don't look at mine. And once your eyes open, once those illusions dissolve, conversations that used to feel meaningful start to sound strangely hollow, like a song you loved as a child that suddenly sounds cheap. You didn't stop caring. You just stopped being able to pretend. Schopenhauer believed that the more intelligent a person becomes, the more capable they are of enduring solitude, maybe even the more they need it. Whether he was fully right or not, he was pointing at something you already know in your bones. Awareness has a price. The deeper your understanding of human behavior, the harder it becomes to mistake performance for authenticity. And once you can tell the difference, most of the theater around you becomes unwatchable. The spiritual traditions have been saying this for thousands of years in different words. They describe a world where the ego is always hungry for recognition, for status, for certainty, for control. Underneath every polished identity, every curated life, every confident voice sits the same restless hunger that has followed humanity since the beginning. Almost no one ever confronts it. Most people just learn to decorate it. And once you've seen that, really seen it, everything changes. Crowds get louder, conversations get thinner. Silence starts carrying more substance than words ever did. You stop searching for people to complete you because you've watched too many people try to complete themselves with other people and drown together. Instead, you start searching for something rarer. Moments where your soul no longer feels divided against itself. That's usually the moment solitude stops feeling like loneliness and starts feeling like the only place left where truth still whispers. One of the hardest lessons life will ever teach you is this: people are almost never who they appear to be. You spent years believing honesty was normal, that loyalty came naturally, that kindness was given freely with no invoice attached. You believed it because you needed to believe it, because a child cannot survive believing anything else. And then experience dismantled it, piece by piece, person by person. Now the masks are easy to recognize. The compliments sound transactional the moment they leave someone's mouth. Even affection, the thing you wanted most, sometimes reveals itself as a negotiation dressed in warm words. I love you, that really means I need you. I miss you, that really means I miss what you did for me. Here's the thing though, this realization didn't make you cynical overnight. It made you observant, and observation is an isolating gift. The more carefully you study human behavior, the more you notice that most of social life runs on invisible exchanges, approval traded for conformity, authenticity sacrificed for belonging, truth swallowed to preserve comfort. Watch closely and you'll see it everywhere. Entire conversations that exist for no reason except to keep everyone comfortable. Entire friendships held together by the things both people agree never to say. Carl Jung warned that people will do almost anything to avoid confronting themselves. They will build careers, marriages, religions, addictions, entire personalities, all as elaborate architecture around the one room they refuse to enter. Because it is always easier to maintain an illusion than to survive the pain of tearing it down. Maybe that's why genuine understanding feels so lonely. You entered the one room everyone else is avoiding, and you can't get anyone to meet you there. The mystics described awakening as a kind of death, not the body dying, something worse in a way. The slow death of every comforting illusion, every attachment questioned, every certainty dissolved, every identity exposed as temporary scaffolding. The world stays exactly the same. Same streets, same faces, same conversations, but you can never experience it through innocent eyes again. And there is grief in that, real grief. Nobody tells you that seeing clearly comes with mourning, not because humanity is entirely corrupt, it isn't, but because every soul is carrying contradictions it can't escape. We long for unconditional love while guarding our pride like a weapon. We say we want truth while secretly fearing what truth might demand of us. We crave connection while hiding the exact parts of ourselves that would make connection real. You do it too. So do I. That's the part that hurts. Eventually, you understand, seeing people clearly doesn't make them easier to love. It just kills the fantasy that they were ever simple to begin with. And once that veil falls, the road back to comfortable ignorance no longer exists. You can't unknow what you know. You can only decide what to do with it. There is a silent tax on consciousness, and you've been paying it for years without ever being told the price. The more deeply you understand yourself, the more clearly you begin to understand everyone else. And that sounds like a gift until you live inside it. Their fears become predictable. Their ambitions expose the insecurities underneath. You can see exactly which wound the success is supposed to cover. Their anger stops being frightening because you can see the pain hiding behind it. Even their kindness sometimes arrives carrying an invisible expectation, waiting quietly to be repaid. What used to feel mysterious becomes familiar, and familiarity quietly murders fascination. The ancient traditions described most of human existence as a kind of sleep, and once you hear that, you start seeing it everywhere. Most people move through life reacting instead of observing, repeating beliefs they inherited but never examined, chasing desires they never consciously chose, desires installed in them by parents, by culture, by advertising, by wounds. They call it freedom, but look closely and most of it is just habit wearing the mask of free will. People sleepwalking through their own one and only life and getting offended if you gently mention the sleepwalking. Once you see this, you can't relate to the world the same way. You start noticing how often people speak without listening, just waiting for their turn to talk. How often they promise without ever intending. How often they judge without a second of understanding. You start noticing that entire relationships are built on mutual performance. Two actors protecting two identities, each terrified of what happens if the play stops. And the real tragedy is most of them will die without ever finding out who they were underneath the mask. The mask will be all that ever lived. This is why awareness isolates you, not because it makes you superior. Get that idea out of your head, it's a trap. It isolates you because it makes you incapable of fully participating in the comforting illusions everyone else is running on. Once you've recognized the dream is a dream, pretending it's real becomes exhausting. You can fake it for an evening, you can't fake it for a lifetime. The mystics had a name for this passage, the dark night of the soul. The period where all your old meanings collapse before any new ones arrive, where you've lost the comfortable lies but haven't yet found the deeper truths. It is not a punishment, even though it feels like one. It's the empty corridor between false certainty and authentic understanding. And almost no one walks it willingly because walking it means surrendering everything the ego calls security. If you're in that corridor right now, if your old life has stopped making sense and the new one hasn't shown up yet, I need you to hear this. The collapse is not the end. It's the clearing. And maybe this is why real wisdom almost always comes wrapped in a quiet sadness. Not bitterness, sadness. Because the clearer you see the human condition, the less you're able to judge it. You start to see it. Everyone is fighting invisible battles. Everyone is imprisoned by fears they can't even name. Everyone is searching desperately for something permanent in a world where everything eventually disappears. So understand this. Understanding people is not the cure for loneliness. It's the moment you finally see that every single soul carries a solitude no one else can fully enter, including yours, including theirs. We are all in the deepest room of ourselves alone, and the only honest connection possible is between two people who have stopped pretending otherwise. Here's the greatest irony of understanding people. It doesn't make relationships easier. It makes them quieter. There comes a moment when you stop expecting everyone to be honest. You stop believing every promise, every smile, every confident performance. Not out of bitterness, out of accuracy. Experience taught you that human beings are creatures of contradiction, capable of extraordinary compassion and astonishing cruelty, sometimes in the same day, sometimes toward the same person, sometimes toward you. The more deeply you grasp that paradox, the less interested you become in superficial connection. You didn't get colder, you got precise. And people will mistake this for arrogance. Let them. You and I both know what it actually is. Exhaustion. You're tired. Tired of conversations that never move an inch below the surface. Tired of watching people pour their entire life force into maintaining identities that collapse the moment life gets genuinely difficult. Because you've watched it happen. Social status fades, beauty ages, money changes hands. Opinions shift the second the crowd shifts. The things people spend decades protecting get taken without anyone asking permission. The ancient philosophers called it impermanence. The mystics called it attachment. Modern psychology calls it identity and defense mechanisms. Different languages, all pointing at the same brutal fact. Most of what people are clinging to was never truly theirs. Most of what you are clinging to was never truly yours. Seeing this doesn't erase suffering. It does something more useful. It shows you how much of your suffering was manufactured, created by refusing to accept the actual nature of existence, created by demanding that temporary things be permanent, that changing people stay the same, that a world built on loss somehow never take anything from you. And that realization changes what you look for in other people, completely. You stop searching for people who merely entertain your mind. You start longing for the rare ones, the ones willing to question themselves, the ones who can sit inside uncertainty without running, the ones who tell the truth even when the truth costs them something, the ones who have also stopped performing. And here's the hard part. Those people are rare, genuinely rare. Which means your solitude isn't a malfunction, it's a consequence of seeing clearly. It's what accuracy costs. Maybe that's the hidden burden of becoming wise. The clearer your vision gets, the fewer places feel like home. But before you turn your solitude into a religion, stop, because I have to be just as brutally honest with you as I've been about everyone else. There are two kinds of people who withdraw from the world, and from the outside they look identical. The first kind withdraws toward something, toward silence, toward truth, toward the questions that can't survive noise. Their solitude is full. They left the crowd the way a diver leaves the shore, to go deeper, not to escape water. The second withdraws away from something, away from the risk of being hurt again, away from the possibility of being seen and found insufficient. Their solitude isn't wisdom, it's armor that grew into skin. They tell themselves they've outgrown people, when the truth is they're terrified of them. They quote philosophy to justify a wound. And here is the question you cannot dodge, the one only you can answer, alone, at 3 a.m. when there's no one to perform for. Which one are you? Because seeing through people's masks means nothing if you use that vision as a wall. Understanding that everyone is asleep means nothing if it just becomes your excuse to never knock on another door. Knowing that love is tangled with illusion means nothing if you weaponize that knowledge against ever loving again. Clarity that only ever says no to the world isn't clarity, it's fear with a vocabulary. The mystics who walked into the desert, pay attention to this part. Most of them came back. They didn't withdraw to escape humanity. They withdrew to be able to face it without drowning in it. The desert was the training ground, not the destination. The silence was where they built the self that could finally stand inside the noise without being dissolved by it. That's the difference between solitude and disappearance. Solitude is a room you enter and leave freely. Disappearance is a room where the door quietly locked behind you and you've decided to call it home. So yes, protect your peace, guard your energy, refuse the shallow theater, walk away from people who only ever loved the performance of you. But leave one gate open, not for everyone, for the rare ones, because the day one of those rare souls finally stands in front of you, someone who has also stopped pretending, someone who has walked their own dark corridor, the walls you built to survive will be the exact thing that makes you miss them. And that would be the real tragedy. Not that the world hurt you, but that you finished the job for it. There is something strangely sacred in the distance you carry, if you use it correctly. Because your distance from the crowd does one thing that nothing else can do. It forces you to stop outsourcing your meaning. It stops you from searching for your worth in the unstable hearts of other people. Hearts that change, hearts that forget, hearts that were never built to hold the weight of telling you who you are. And once you stop looking outward, only one direction remains. Inward, toward the one mystery that has been following you since the day you were born, the one question underneath every relationship you've ever had, every mask you've ever worn, every crowd you've ever stood in feeling invisible. Who are you when every illusion falls away? Who are you when there's no audience, when there's no role to play, no status to defend, no one to impress, and no one to fear? Who are you when the job title is gone, when the people who defined you are gone, when even the story you tell yourself about yourself goes quiet? Most people will live and die without ever asking that question seriously. It's too dangerous. It threatens everything they've built. They will choose the noise, endless, comfortable, meaningless noise over one honest hour with themselves. But you're different, not better, different. Because if you've watched this far, some part of you has already started asking. Some part of you already knows that the loneliness you've been feeling was never really about other people. It was the distance between who you are and who you've been pretending to be. Close that distance and you can stand anywhere, in a crowd, in silence, in loss, and never feel homeless again. That's the destination, not isolation, not bitterness, not superiority. A self so honest it no longer needs the world's permission to exist, and no longer needs to hide from the world to stay intact. The understanding that pushed you away from people was never the end of the road. It was the toll you paid to finally begin the only journey that matters, the one back to yourself. If this video put words to something you've been carrying silently for years, then you already understand why this channel exists. This community is for the people who can't unsee what they've seen, the ones who question, who reflect, who look past appearances even when it costs them comfort. There are more than 100 videos here exploring philosophy, psychology, spirituality, and the darker corners of the human experience, which means there's always another conversation waiting for you when you're ready. If you want to help keep this work alive, consider becoming a channel member. You'll support future videos and get access to exclusive perks while helping this community grow. And if this one truly hit home, you can leave a super thanks. Every contribution, no matter the size, directly funds more content like this. But hear me clearly. Never feel obligated. Watching, subscribing, leaving a like, or sending this to someone who's sitting alone tonight thinking no one understands them, that already helps more than you realize. Thank you for being here. See you in the next reflection.